Congratulations. आपके वाला अरे ना क्या है ना सबसे ना congratulations बोलो प्रेग्नेंट के बाद ही वो बोले तो मैंने कुछ एक दो तीन चार पाँच छः बन गया उस पे भी ऐसे बैठना है तो मेरे बाजू में बैठेगी यार राशि कुछ खराब है ना पत्नी खराब ना तो उसकी वजह से नौकरी लगी अरे मैंने ग्रामर का होमवर्क किया इसलिए बहुत सारे हफ्तों से कर रहा पेजेस के पढ़ने के बुक्स ना मैंने स्कूल में किया उसके बाद स्कूल को बैठते कि पूरा लिखा मैंने ध्यान से पढ़ा था एक बार फिर अच्छा नहीं लगा सर ये भाई मैंने कुछ लिखा भी नहीं है कुछ लिख क्या है ऐसे ना ऐसे नहीं लिखा है बाकी सब कुछ है भाई नीचे को खड़ा कर रखा है अरे तुझे याद है कि बेटी कहाँ पर है ये मेंटल तेरी बेंच का पे वैसे नहीं सबको देखती थी ना मैं वो अभी एडमिट का था हां कितना फर्स्ट प्राइज पे बैठ गए हां मेरे फर्स्ट प्राइज में लिखा है मैंने डिमांड पहला नाम कुशाग्र तिवारी बधाई हो टॉप 3 क्यों तेरी बेटी को मॉडल कैसे है नहीं प्रेग्नेंट है ना तो तेरे बच्चे के पेड़े खाने आया हां हां ठीक है जाना देख मान की जाएगी प्रेग्नेंट है तो कॉपी करना में काम नहीं होता ना क्या करें देख भाई वो अपना जेंडर चेंज कर दी मेरे को काम करेगा कुछ नहीं करता पहले उसका जेंडर डिफाइन कर दिया मैं तो ठीक है तो ये तो मेरी के साथ सिग्नल बोल रहा है मैंने कि पहले एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है पहले ना काय कैसे होमवर्क किसने किया होमवर्क दे मेरा एक ऐसा रह गया लास्ट वाला है सर वो वाला तो पसंद है चलो छाप लूंगा फर्स्ट वाला हां वो वाला मैं भूल गया मैं नाचती हूं मैंने ऐसे के अलावा सब कुछ कर दिया सच्ची बात है मुझे वो इमेजिन वाला एक कपड़ा को था कि ये वॉल्यूम के क्वेश्चन आंसर्स कर रहे हैं मैं नहीं हमें नहीं आना है याद है देखो मैसेज किया था नहीं ना रेगुलर नहीं होती है ना तेरा वॉल्यूम में हमने वो इंग्लिश के क्वेश्चन आंसर्स मैंने पब्लिश का सिर्फ मैंने लिया मैंने करो ऐसे करना मैं मेरे को नहीं पता पुस्तकालय के साथ मैं वीडियो को मेरे को नहीं पता मेरे को छापना है कल बढ़िया था तो साइड में नाम भी निकाला हमने चल तो उसके बाद में साइन कर ये मेरा सेकंड आंसर हां टॉक्सी ये में पेपर पहले ये मैं मैडम को पे नसीब नहीं हुआ साइन का टाइम में साइन करेगा नहीं वैसे तूने ये तो टाइप क्यों लाया मैम फिर एक्सेप्ट करेगी मालूम है ये मैम को सिर्फ पढ़ाने के लिए एक बार ये मैम पढ़ेगी ना उसके बाद प्रोग्रेस कोई ना वो मैंने पेपर सुना नहीं पाया ये टॉप से ये देख भाई भूखना तो बंद कर दे तू बस वाला बस हां मेरे कान में बस वाला नहीं करना ये टॉप से इसमें क्या करना है आज सेकंड वाला मैं फोन में लाया हूं मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा वेरी गुड जो भी वहां पे फर्स्ट पेज पे कोई वहां पे लड़का बैठता है नहीं वो बात है टेंशन नाम का नहीं पता एक लड़का बैठता है अरे तेरा इंटरव्यू करने का शौक है मैं इससे बोल रहा हूं मैं उससे समझना तेरा ये सो इमेजिन दैट स्पीड हॉलीवुड इंग्लिश में जिसको डांस मैंने कंप्लीट नहीं किया बस मैंने तो कोई चैप्टर लिखा है तो इससे दो क्वेश्चन आंसर कंप्लीट कर दी लेकिन कंप्यूटर से हैंडराइटिंग कैसे समझेगा तू कुछ लिखती है मेरे खुद के रेडी सुन भाई बता वैसे भी मैं अक्सर मेरी हैंडराइटिंग पे सूट करता है छक्का है तेरे हाथ से सूट नहीं करता आज की मैंने ठीक है My class, no? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Actually, I was trying to second. I usually skip those question answers. I just go for picture study to get marks. So, ma'am, I told too many pages, so I took resolve with this. Can you check it? So I have to copy it in my book. What is this? Ma'am, that's the second question you gave, no? So you have typed it here? Yeah, ma'am, because I told too many pages. But beta, writing practice is very important. Ma'am, मैंने writing में लिखा बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन आंसर मैंने बहुत सारी बार लिखा अगर मेरा हर बार अगर सीधा मतलब अच्छे से लग नहीं रहा है मैं एक बार What is 2, 3, 4, 5? That is not very obvious. Any students, the new student, please? You were not there last time, please. We are going to start a new thing from So what was the date when we had the lecture last time? Last date bolo? 26. It was a Tuesday? Yeah. What homework did we have? All practice questions and plus 2 essays. Of which chapter? Volume? Volume 2. Page? Essay, which volume? One. Essay number 2. 1 and 2. Page number? 10. Question 1 and 2. Anything else you have to remember? No. So this you will write on the last page of your tuition book. Today is 3rd. Today we will keep writing our homework. So on the last page of your tuition book, you will write the date over here. You will write the homework over here. तो आपको भी घर में जाके once you finish, you will keep ticking कि ये हो गया, ये बाकी है. तो वो clarity रहेगी. So now first you show me the question answers of R over T. That is in your model itself. You have answered. Yes. Who is this? I'm coming around. So let's say you got the question answers here of R over T. So come with that. Where? No, लिखना है उसको. Yeah, तो भी लिखना है. Say your first. That is start right. लिखो सेम आंसर है इसलिए मैंने लिखा नहीं लिखो काम नहीं किया राइट नाउ वी शुड बी राइटिंग if you are sitting like this and then I come to your question so actually I should not do it back then do it now not for that Trees are planted so that the future generations will benefit. This is for civic good. Actually, trees are planted so that the future generations will benefit. Were you not allowed to say when I come to then you show me that right now I'm just the heart of tree. Done. आकांक्षा किसके पास मॉड्यूल नहीं है रेज योर हैंड्स 1 2 आकांक्षा swastika and Shaurya you've done the heart of a tree come beta you've done the heart of the tree in volume number 2
Ma'am, I don't have the volume.
Ma'am, I got
they are saying that they don't have
today only. Ma'am, I have done the heart of the tree.
Yes, भैया attendance का करूँ अब पर So Swastika, you are saying you don't have the module? Shaurya, you are saying you don't have the module?
Yeah, ma'am. My mom had called the UT and then they said that they'll call once they receive the language module. I still haven't received the call.
Akanksha?
Ma'am, I've done the heart of the tree.
Show me. उसको highlight कर कुशाग्र.
आकांक्षा the background blur वाला feature हटाना पड़ेगा.
Your essays are done?
Yes.
Ma'am.
Explanation लिखो. Akanksha, why incomplete answers? Yeah.
Only this other figures of speech I have not, and I marked it in my textbook. I forgot to write it here. The rest I have completed.
Write it now. Write it now.
Yes.
उसको admit कर पास को. ये जो first वाला है उसका explanation लिखो. What about the practice question of art of a tree? Yeah. What about the practice questions of heart of a tree? You have to write the question as well. Open your text. Those of you who don't have the module, start writing the summary of a heart of a tree in your tuition book right now. कितने questions थे practice questions में?
4,
5. You have written the question also?
Yes.
Swastika, you also don't have the
my modules, but I got it in the afternoon only today, so I could not write.
So for next time you will do it?
Yes.
Okay. Parth Chaturvedi.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I have your video on?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you received your module?
Yes, ma'am.
So question answers of heart of a tree is done?
Ma'am, I was absent in last class.
तो आपको वो करना है अभी.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. This
Yes,
part of the homework is visible to you?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, I think the screen is not shared. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Camera is off. How to turn the camera on?
Yes, ma'am. Now it is visible.
कहाँ दिख रहा है? मुझे तो नहीं दिख रहा.
साइड वाला बटन.
That side is still not visible. You have to shift the camera a bit.
Okay. Now you can see. आपको दिख रहा है? हमको छोड़ दो. Heart of a Tree, Volume 2, page number 103. The question answers, जिसका space भी दिया हुआ है and practice question भी. Essays के लिए Volume 1, page number 2, question 1 and question 2. ये चीज लिख लो. Even if you have not done it for this time, for next time you have to do it. This has to be written on the last page of your tuition book. Homework कहाँ लिखा है? दिखाओ मुझे. You have written now? Right now? Yeah. Like this, you have to write it on the last page of your tuition book. तो उसके नीचे फिर आज का डेट आ जाएगा. And then we will keep writing the homework that I gave today. Clear? Now you are showing me the question answers of practice questions. देखो लास्ट वन पे जाके बैठना है. तो आंसर नहीं देने का he was asking तो. Don't leave this man. ठीक है? ये ट्यूशन में है ना स्कूल. दिखाओ. I asked you to start writing the summary. You have come for English class and you have come for maths class. So English की क्या बुक लाए? उसको कॉपी करने के लिए Question and answer format. जैसे नहीं चल रहा है तो फूड तो बना सकते हो ना लाइक सेलर्स हो गया फूड मैनेजर प्लेस हो गया काम चोरी करोगे तो मार्क्स नहीं आएगा मैनेजर से क्वेश्चन बनाएगा और वो फिनिश करना है second answer is format देखना जगह पे पूरा नहीं होता है कोई क्वेश्चन What is the meaning of this first paragraph? Now I can start checking the essays.
Now I did not practice it.
Swastika.
Yes, ma'am.
Essays.
Ma'am, I have not written. I got
Akanksha.
Yes, ma'am, I have written.
So. देखते हैं.
Ma'am, this is the first one.
Don't leave a line between the two paragraphs, beta.
Okay, ma'am. And the second one is
ठीक है मेरे को दिख रहा है. It's okay.
But from our teacher says that it will not leave a line.
ठीक है. Okay. But you have been able to write 255 words. ये मेरे को less लग रहा है. Is it 255 words? Akanksha, is it 255 words?
Actually, your voice is breaking.
Beta, how many words is your essay? I'm asking. Shaurya?
Ma'am, I haven't received my module only. They said that they'll call for the modules. They still haven't called.
Parth, you also have not done?
Ma'am, I was absent in last class. That's why.
Essays are done? 250 words?
But it's not numbered 2 pages.
Yes, ma'am. You hear me now?
So, how many have done the composition 1? Question 1? Just count how many words it is.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, Swastika. How many words? Akanksha.
Sorry, ma'am, I got disconnected.
Akanksha, 255 words hai beta.
Ma'am, the first one I have counted, they were around 280 something.
280 is too much. 280 is too much. 255 hona chahiye. And second one?
Ma'am, the second one I have not counted yet.
Count.
I just saw it. I was starting to.
What do you mean by and renewable activity? Renewable sources by the world over see, to it that you have written the topic of your essay before you come to me. See, to it that you have written the date before you come to me. सब काम करेगा अपने आप से बात नहीं करते रहेगा Yes, yes. Yeah. How many times have you written the word environment? You cannot have the same word featuring in the single paragraph 4 times. It's a big markdown. Anybody has underlined the keywords? You have not been paragraph. Anyone else coming for the first paragraph? How many words? Did I say dry or right? No quotations, no proverbs, no idioms, no exclamation marks, no question marks. Not happy. In earth or on earth, we are earth on Lord. People in earth. Based to earth. Plastic atom is environmentally friendly, nature friendly, environmental friendly, nature friendly, grammar friendly. Which chapter are we planning to do today?
Next week.
Start with Merchant of Venice because we have to get about it.
7, 8. How many are saying not Virgin of Venice? Put your hands up. Merchant of Venice. So what is happening in Act 1 of Merchant of Venice? Opening scene में who all are there? Who are the characters who are there? Antonio. Who else is there? These are the 3 characters who are there in the opening scene. What is happening is, he said very correctly, Antonio is sad. And he says, I don't know why I'm sad. So Saladino and Salino are kind of saying that is Shakespeare's way of informing the reader what is happening. Saladino and Salino, when they talk to each other, that is Shylock's way of giving information to the reader. Likho. Through the conversations of Saladino and Salino, Swastika, Akanksha, Shaurya, right? Aspect लिखो, MOV लिखो, Act 1 C लिखो, C लिखो. बेटा take your call. कौन से पेज पे लिखना है, कितना लाइन छोड़ना है, टेक्स्ट आना में you can decide.
Ma'am, can you repeat?
Yeah, I'm repeating. They're just opening their books. Through the conversations of Saladino and Salino, conversations of Salarino and Celino. Shakespeare reveals information. Shakespeare reveals information to the reader. Full stop. Information to the reader. So Antonio says, I'm sad. Salarino and Celino start saying that you are sad because you are tensed about your ships. Your ships are in the ocean. If I were in your place, I would have picked up grass and I would have thrown it to see in which direction the wind is blowing. The direction of the wind is important in those days because 100 years ago, ships were not moving with the help of fuel. They were moving with the help of wind. तो sailor जो captain था वो इतना expert होता था कि judging the speed of the wind, he would open that many sails. तो उसका ship का speed जो है wind का speed के हिसाब से he would alter it. कि मुझे अभी fast speed चाहिए कि slow speed चाहिए. Getting it? इसलिए कौन सा mast चढ़ाना है, कौन सा खोलना है. There used to be like white bed sheets, so many bed sheets. So that's like a speedometer. जितना bed sheet खोल देगा उतना ship speed से जाएगा. जितना bed sheets बंद कर देगा, एक ही bed sheet खुला हुआ है, तो ship slowly जाएगा. So he used to calculate that. Then, depending on the direction of the wind, अगर वो सही दिशा में जा रही है, तो वो speed बढ़ा देता था कि भाई हम सही direction में जा रहे हैं. If the direction of the wind is going somewhere else, तो वो speed कम कर देता था कि ये तो हम गलत direction में जा रहे हैं. Plus, he is not on a road. ये सब calculate करके उसको देखना है कि where I am, now where the wind has taken me, now where I actually want to go, कितना angle का right turn लेना है क्योंकि wind ने मेरे को इतना left turn ले लिया है. So it was a huge calculation. But that's what Salarino is saying. I would have dropped the grass to see in which direction the wind is blowing so that I could take a judgment call on my ships. If I went to the church, they used to go to the church every Sunday. Today also Catholics go. So when I would go to the church, seeing the stones of the wall of the church, I would be reminded that there are such rocks under the ocean which can wreck my ship. Yes. So he is saying that I would have been anxious all the time about my ship. So for you to say that you are sad, but you don't know why you are sad, I know that as your friend that you are sad because you are anxious about your ships, the well-being of your ships. They can get shipwrecked and they were cargo ships carrying goods. तो अगर shipwreck होता है तो कितना सारा नुकसान हो जाता है because he used to deal with silk, cloth and spices. ये वाली information लिख लो अपने आप. Write it on your own. Up to you.
Who says the grass?
Ma'am, could you repeat the line of silk cloth? Ma'am, can you repeat the line of the silk cloth?
The cargo on Antonio's ship was silk and spices.
But it's not given in the book only, right? The act one.
It is not given in the first act itself. आगे दिया हुआ है.
No, actually, it's there in the first. I mean, he says that you can rope the water spikes.
दिया हुआ है first act itself में.
I think so. And rope the water to the silk.
So then Bassanio comes and Salarino and Celino leave, and very clearly the readers are, I say readers because it was more read than performed and seen by an audience. It was more read. So the reader comes to know that Bassanio is a better friend of Antonio than Salarino and Celino. Now, this I will ask you to write after I finish telling you. The relationship between Bassanio and Antonio is such that Bassanio is the kind of character who doesn't earn much but spends a lot. On the other hand, Antonio is an exact opposite of Bassanio, who earns a lot but doesn't spend much at all. So, but it is as if out of friendship, Antonio has taken Bassanio under his protection. Bassanio keeps asking for money from Antonio and Antonio keeps giving it to him most willingly. Clear?
Yes.
Ritu?
Come on, Bassanio is a spendthrift.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Ma'am, can you repeat the line? That Bassanio is better friend of Antonio.
Which line, beta? Which line, beta?
Ma'am, that friend's line, that Bassanio is a better friend of Antonio.
Than Salarino and Salino.
Okay, ma'am.
So when Bassanio comes, then Salarino and Salino leave because they are not as good friends of Antonio as is Bassanio. Bassanio expresses to Antonio that he wants how much money? To do what? Not to marry Portia, that becomes wrong. To woo Portia is the right term. Woo. उसका हाथ जीतना, स्वयंवर में उसको जीतना is woo. This is the right word. To woo Portia. So he needs 3,000 ducats. What does Antonio say? He will borrow, nahi. Wrong. He says, I do not have the money because my ships are, it is invested there. So what does he suggest him to do?
In the
name of Antonio. Yes, this is better answer. To borrow the money from Shiloh with Antonio as a guarantor. Why is Antonio as a creditor needed while borrowing money from Shiloh? Let's see if anyone of these three can answer. Yes, Shaurya.
Ma'am, because Bassanio is borrowing Antonio's money and Antonio will sign the bond from Shiloh.
That's not the answer to my question at all. My question is, Bassanio needs the money. He asked from Antonio. Antonio said, I don't have. So now Bassanio should go to Shiloh and take the money. Usme Antonio बीच में क्यों होना चाहिए?
Ma'am, can I?
1 minute. Yes. Say bolo.
Just because Bassanio did not have so 50 days that will make Shiloh will be like sure that okay, he can pay back. So like
so your answer is right, but your words are not nice.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes. Shaurya, you want to say?
Ma'am, may I?
Part you want to say? Bolo.
Ma'am, because Bassanio does not earn money, so Shylock will not give money to Bassanio. So
ye has to be said in terms of credit. Bassanio does not have any credit in the market. Therefore, no money lender will lend money to Bassanio. If 3,000 ducats is a very large amount, it's almost like 3 lakh rupees Ajka, for you to understand, not to be written anywhere. For you to understand, it is not like 3,000 rupees. It's a big amount of money. Arm creditor itna paisa de hi nahi sakte. Shylock is in a position to give such a huge amount, but he will not give it to Bassanio. No creditor will give money to Bassanio because Bassanio does not have credit in the market. He doesn't earn any money. He keeps borrowing from Antonio. Everybody knows that. So Antonio has to stand as a guarantor for Shylock to lend money to Bassanio. So basically, Shylock is not lending money to Bassanio. Shylock is lending money to Antonio. ये point समझ में आया? Yes. लिखो. Use the correct terms, huh? Creditor, no credit in the market. वो सब लिखो. Up to you, beta. You are not in third standard. Done?
Now, when Bassanio goes to Shylock asking for the money, at that time Shylock first starts revealing through Shylock, Shakespeare is revealing to the reader that Shylock is very upset with Antonio.
Because he got revenge.
Rubbish.
And because
Shut up. Just shut up. Shylock is very upset with Antonio because he doesn't let him do his business very well. He is a very money-minded Jew. His whole business is of lending money and earning interest. But Antonio takes those people in between, gives them money without interest. Therefore, Shylock hates Antonio. Now, the Catholics and the Jews are at war with each other. The general public is at war with each other. Just like the English and French are at war with each other. You go to France, you ask them something in English. Okay, but I don't know where this, that. They will not answer, they will walk away. You talk to them in Hindi, they will reply. जैसे India and Pakistan का थोड़ा सा बैर है, like that, the Catholics and the Jews. So Antonio has also called him many bad words at many times. He calls him cur. Cur is a wild dog. He spits on him. Now we don't know whether Shylock is exaggerating, because up till now we are seeing Antonio as such a gentleman, so soft-spoken, so mature and wise, that we can't really imagine Antonio behaving like that. But nonetheless, Bassanio says, I will lend the 3,000 ducats to you. I want it back within a period of
3 months.
3 months. If it is not paid within that period, then I will take a pound of flesh from the body of Antonio. Now you need to understand this. This is happening 600 years ago. 600 years ago. The Britishers came to India 200 years ago. They left India 80 years ago. They came 200 years ago. So 200 से भी पहले Mughals came to India. उससे भी पहले 600 years ago this is happening. 600 years ago Guru Gobind Singh Ji was alive. Okay. So 600 years ago, taking a pound of flesh from somebody doesn't simply mean कि उसको एक wound हो जाएगा और वो hospital में 1 महीना रहेगा और उसको गरा जाएगा. He will die. Medical advancement इतना नहीं था. So he is basically taking legal permission to kill you. If you are not able to give my 3,000 ducats within 3 months, then I will legally kill you. Shakespeare is making a point. And Shakespeare का this point worked. Through, अब ये तुमको अपने आप लिखना है तो ध्यान से सुन लो. Through the play Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare, instead of writing first, listen. Through the play Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare wanted to create an awareness among the general public at that time that the laws of Venice are not proper. Venice had equal rights. Venice had given equal rights to the merchants of the citizens of Venice as well as people who had come outside Venice. Shylock was not a citizen of Venice. Antonio was. But both had equal rights, which is not right. After Merchant of Venice, the laws were changed. Time and again, over and over again, through his work, Shakespeare has portrayed what he wants corrected in the society. Clear? Ab likho.
Ma'am, I want to still clarify on this point. Antonio was a citizen of Venice and Shylock was not. But still they both had equal rights. So Shakespeare wanted this to change.
Right.
Okay.
मनी लेंडिंग एक आदमी जो धर्म से चूक है, जो पैसा इंटरेस्ट पे देता है, ये उसका प्रोफेशन है. आज भी तो होते हैं मार्केट में. There are people who lend money, correct?
But why would Shakespeare care about the when it's clause? Because he's a resident of England.
Avon.
So,
Yeah, that's where he was born. That's the name of the place. Avon. So we don't know, and I can research, you can research about this, whether all that belongs to one, this thing, like Italy and UK were one, Venice was one. Definitely.
yes,
Take out the module. The 9 box is one. Character take out of. पहले हम लोग इसमें character list पढ़ लेते हैं. इसका अगर हम
yes. Okay. Antonio, a wealthy Venetian merchant who occasionally lends money but never charges interest. Since his main source of income is from his merchant ships, he is the merchant of the play's title. Bassanio. He is a typical Elizabethan lover and nobleman who is careless with his money, and hence he has to borrow from Antonio so that he can woo Portia in style. Portia is one of Shakespeare's most intelligent and witty heroines. She
underline woo Portia because that was some new concept for him.
Portia is one of Shakespeare's most intelligent and witty heroines. She is famous for her beauty and for her wealth, and she is deeply anguished that she must marry only the man who chooses the single casket of 3, which contains her portrait. Shylock is an intelligent businessman who believes that since he is a moneylender, charging interest is his right. To him, it makes good business sense. The Duke of Venice, he presides as a judge over the court proceedings in Shylock's claim on Antonio. The Prince of Morocco, one of Portia's suitors, loses the opportunity to marry her when he chooses the golden casket. The Prince of Aragon, he chooses a silver casket. He is another disappointed suitor for Portia's hand in marriage. Gratiano, he is a light-hearted, talkative friend of Bassanio who accompanies him to Belmont. There he falls in love with Portia's confidant Nerissa. Lorenzo, he is a friend of Antonio and Bassanio. He woos and wins the love of Shylock's daughter, Jessica. Jessica, she is the young daughter of Shylock. She falls in love with Lorenzo and disguised as a boy, she elopes with him. Nerissa, Portia's merry and sympathetic lady in waiting. Celanio, he is a friend who believes that Antonio is sad because he is worried about his ships at sea. He is a messenger from Venice. Celarino, he is another friend of Antonio. He thinks Antonio's melancholy may be caused because Antonio is in love. Celerio, friend of Antonio. Launcelot Gobbo, he is a clown, a jester, the young servant of Shylock. He is about to run away because he thinks Shylock is the devil. He actually, eventually, he leaves Shylock's service and becomes Bassanio's jester. Old Gobbo, the father of Launcelot, he has come to Venice to seek news of his son. He is partially blind. Tubal, he is a friend of Shylock's. He tells him that one of Antonio's ships has been wrecked. Leonardo, Bassanio's servant. Balthazar, the servant whom Portia sends to her cousin Dr. Bellario. Dr. Bellario, a lawyer of Padua. And Stefano, one of Portia's servants.
बताया तो मैंने स्वयंवर जी बना पैसा खर्चा करके नहीं कैरेक्टर नहीं एडवांस जेस्टर इज साउंड हाँ जैसे हम लोग के पास मेड होते हैं ड्राइवर होते हैं वैसे हम लोग के पास एक जेस्टर भी होता था उसका जॉब क्या था अपने मास्टर को एंटरटेन करना टीवी मोबाइल देखा कि वो अपने सारे सीक्रेट्स मुझे बता रहा है तो मैं उसकी कॉन्फिडेंट हूँ वो अपने सारे सीक्रेट्स मुझे बता रहा है तो मैं उसकी कॉन्फिडेंट सीक्रेट कीपर
Act 1, Scene 1. The first task confronting any playwright in his opening scene is exposition of that play. That is, he must identify the characters and explain the situation to the audience. Shakespeare accomplishes this task through informative exposition very subtly in opening 56 lines of the dialogue between Antonio, Salerio, and Salenio. We learn that Antonio is a wealthy merchant that he is worried for some obscure reason which makes him
obscure means unknown
obscure reason which makes him melancholy.
Obscure means unknown. He is not aware.
Obscure reason which makes him melancholy that he is a member of a group of friends who alight later, Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Gratinio, who represent the lively, convenient life of Venice. And perhaps most important for the purpose of a plot, we are told that Antonio has many shipping ventures, mercantile risk, and although he is not worried about them now, the idea is subtly suggested to us that his business ventures on the high seas may miscarry. We should recall this matter when Antonio initially decides to indebt himself to Shylock on Bassanio's behalf. In this opening scene, Shakespeare begins to sketch in some of the characters and some of the atmosphere of the play. Antonio, for example, is presented as being sad, afflicted with melancholy, which he himself does not appear to understand.
Afflicted means affected. Affected by.
Critics are puzzled over this. Is Antonio to be viewed as a normally melancholy character? Is he? Is his sadness caused by his knowledge that he may shortly lose the companionship of his old friend Bassanio, who has told him of embarking on a secret pilgrimage to woo a beautiful and wealthy woman in Belmont? Or is his mood to be put down simply to an ominous foreboding which he has of some approaching disaster? For all dramatic purposes in this scene, Antonio's gravity serves foremost as a contrast of the lightheartedness of his friends. Despite its dark and threatening moments, one should always remember that The Merchant of Venice is a romantic comedy, and like most of Shakespeare's romantic comedies, it has a group of dashing, if not very profound, young men. For example, Salenio and Salerio are not deliberately important. The lines are interchangeable and they are not really distinguishable from one another. The represent of an element of the youthful whimsy. Salenio begins typically
with whimsy means to be careless and carefree attitude all the time. Youthful whimsy. तो वो लोग जो बोलते हैं वो कुछ प्लॉट को कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं करता है. They are just, you know how young boys standing outside they chatter. कोई important बात नहीं होती है. बस they chatter.
Ma'am, you are not clearly audible.
Youthful whimsy means careless attitude. Audible? Audible, beta?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Chalo. Next.
Salerino begins typically with a flight of fancy in which Antonio's ships are described as being like rich burghers on the flood and like birds flying with their own woven wings. He continues in a delightful, fantastic series of imaginings on the stage. Of course, all this would be accompanied with exaggerated gestures intended to bring Antonio out of his depression. Thus, through the presentation on the stage of sober, withdrawn Antonio, surrounded by the frolicsome language and whimsy of the two young gallants, Shakespeare suggests in the compressed form two of the elements of the play, the real dangers that the merchant of Venice will face, and the world of youth and laughter which will be background to love stories of Bassanio and Portia, Lorenzo and Jessica, and Gratinio and Nerissa. The same note of gentle raillery is carried on when we see the entrance of three young men, Courtiers Bassanio, Gratinio, and Lorenzo. Again, Antonio's mood is remarked on. Here again, Shakespeare is using Antonio as a foil for the spirited by play of the others. Gratinio especially is ebullient and talkative, yet he is quite aware of his effervescence. He announces that he will play the fool. Gratinio talks Bassanio, tells Antonio of nothing more than any man in all Venice, and he is willing accomplice in Lorenzo. Significantly, both of these characters are most distinctly drawn than Salerno or Salerino. Then they will play more major roles in the development of the romantic plot and subplot of the Gratinio and Nerissa and Lorenzo and Jessica. One of the major purposes of this opening scene is to introduce Bassanio and courtship of Portia, which will constitute the major romantic plot and also set the Bond story in motion. Antonio's question concerning Bassanio courtship of Portia is turned aside by Bassanio. He goes directly to the question of money in order that the basis for the Bond story can be laid. Some critics have been seen in the Bassanio speeches some evidence of a character that is extremely careless of his money and very casual to his obligations.
Bassanio careless of his money. What is cortex language? What is cortex of language? College some. College means fun.
Obligations. He seems furthermore to have no scruples about making more requisitions of a friend who has already done so much for him. Yet clearly Shakespeare does not intend us to level any harsh moral judgments at Bassanio. According to the Venetian and Elizabethan view, Bassanio is behaving as any young man of his station might be expected to behave. He is young, he is in love, and he is broke. The matter is that simple. Antonio's immediate reassurance to his old friend reminds us of the strong bond of friendship between two men. Interestingly, neither of them seems to be unduly concerned about money at this point. One is wealthy merchant and the other a carefree young lover. This is a quality which we shall notice throughout the play in connection with both Bassanio and Portia. Both of them recognize the necessity of money, but neither of them considers money to be of any value in itself.
Underline. Both of them understand the necessity of money, but do not overestimate the value of it. ये लाइन समझ में आ रही है? Okay. Continue, बेटा.
In the other world of romantic love and civilized cultivation, they feel that they do not need to be unduly concerned with money. Shakespeare is setting up this point of view to contrast later with Shylock's diametrical point of view. For Shylock, the moneylender, money constitutes only his defense against his oppressors. Considering again Bassanio's problem with money and Antonio's reaction to it, note that Bassanio is straightforward in this scene with Antonio. His request is made in pure innocence, and we take it as its face value. Those critics who decry Bassanio read more into his frank confession of poverty and his attempt to borrow money than there is really there. We must recall that when Shakespeare wants to make us aware of some defect in one of his characters, he is always able to do so. The unconditional friendship of Antonio and Bassanio is one of the assumptions of the play, and we must never question it.
Shakespeare as a writer has taken money at the center, and then you can have only three types of possibilities. Either you have a person who is very much concerned about the money, like who is very much careless about the money, who is a complete balance. Antonio, Bassanio, Shiloh. So this is what the volume means when it is saying that it is creating diametrically opposite characters in Antonio, Shiloh and Bassanio. ये point समझ में आया? लिखो. Don't make me repeat what I have just said. The explanation gets lost. Try to listen to it when I'm explaining the first time. Last time, did I leave my textbook somewhere here?
I think you should ask. One textbook or set up volume was there.
My textbook, pleasure to. Yeah. बच्चे ने ले लिया होगा फिर से दे देंगे या बैग में एकदम चेक कर लो बाय चांस मेरी छोटी सी बुक आ गई तुम्हारे पास Now there are solved examples which you should go through at home, but you can come to page number 16. There are 3 passages. Just go through the questions and tell me, will you be able to write these answers for homework? Don't come next time and say, actually, ma'am, second passage का third answer मेरे को नहीं आता था. Clarification अभी करो, boss.
Ma'am, page number
16. So ये हमारा first homework आ गया. Volume. Which volume?
Volume 2.
Page 16. 3 passages. MOB लिख दिया ना भाई. Please write this first homework in the tuition book. है तो सही. चतुर्वेदी चतुराई छोड़ दो वीडियो ऑन करो वीडियो काहे ऑफ है
sorry ma'am
sorry
ma'am I thought my video is on.
Don't think so much. Go through the questions and tell me, children. पागल हो गया क्या? इधर निकल थोड़ा।